Hi. In this video, we are going to see about API. In general, what is API? API means we know application programming interface. Application programming interface, right? API, application programming interface. I am just typing it. Application programming interface. So what is application programming interface? So when will you create application programming interface? Application programming interface, that is API, refers to a simple computer program which is designed to be used or manipulated by another program, right? So when will you create an API? So for handling large data, right? So if the data changes frequently or it is getting updated frequently, say a weather report, so weather changes each and every second. So in that case, we use API. Or when the user needs to access your real-time data, like weather, such kind of data. So other than accessing, if you are contributing something like updating or deleting a data, we can use API. Okay, or we can say API like it is a communication between a server and application to fetch some data, to get some real-time data, that is the live data. Or whenever you request the API for a particular data, you can get it. Okay, so API is created somewhere. It is in the server. You can imagine like that. So the response API returns is in the form of text called JSON, JSON. So when you request something, you will get some response, right? So that response is in the form of JSON. So I have written here. See, JSON means JavaScript object notation. Okay, so Python supports JavaScript object notation through a built-in package called JSON. So if you want to program something in Python API, you have to first import this JSON. Okay, because when you request something to a server, it will respond the data in the form of JSON. So you can import the JSON module, right? And now I'm going to show you an API called Open Notify. OPEN, Open NOTIFY. Actually, it is nothing but an URL which I will be showing, and from that web server or web application, we will fetch some data. I will show how to fetch the data through Python script, right? So the script, the API which we are going to access is Open Notify. So this is an open source API where you can fetch data directly. Okay, and this API is, it contains the NASA's data, like it is full of NASA's data, where you can locate the International Space Station, and where we can see how many people are there currently in space, right? So those kind of data we can fetch, right? So let me start coding. So before that, I will let you know that this is an open source API which is free. There is no subscription. There are paid APIs also, where you have to subscribe for using that in your programs. Like in many applications you might have seen Google Map. It is also an API where it is downloaded as a dependency or plugin, and it is added to a particular web application or mobile application. And I have also used Google Trans. There is an API called Google Trans. You have to pip install it, pip install Google Trans, and you can use it. So in the browser, in the URL, if he gives some data, it will translate it into whatever language you need it. If you type something in English, it will give you something in some other language, whichever you are comfortable. Okay, so I will put a video on that in the later the forthcoming sessions. So now I will just write a simple program to fetch the Open Notify API, the fetch data from the Open Notify API. Okay, first we have imported JSON. So JSON, I have told you about JSON. Next we have to import a module called request. This is a model which is used to send a request to an URL. Okay, so we will send a request now. Basically, this model we will send a request, like say a request dot get. There is a method called get. Using this method, we will we will send a request. So I know the URL, so I'm typing it: http://api dot open open hyphen notify notify dot org. Okay, so this is the URL. Sorry, a small mistake. Okay, now it is good. So this request dot get URL will send a request, and this in turn will give some response, right? So I have to store the response somewhere else. So I'm creating a response object, res PONSC equal to, okay, I'm giving directly as response. This is my user defined variable name. This is not built in. Response is user defined, whereas this request.get method is built in method. Okay, now I have to test whether the response I'm getting back is really a perfect response, or the request I send is a proper request and the response I'm getting is a proper response. So I will print the response. I will print the response now. Okay. So you have something called a response dot. You have a status code. There is an attribute called status code where we can check the response we are getting. Okay. So now let me run this program using Python interpreter. I will just locate to my project folder. So I have located my project folder. It is in API. Now I'm going to run my Python script. Python API_exe.py. So this is how I run my Python script. Okay, now there is an error. So what is this error? No module named JSON. Okay. So I have made a small mistake, like it is Python is, it is case sensitive. So what I should do is I should make it a small case. See, I'm getting the response now. What is the response now? It is 200. So there are many response codes like this. If it is 200 means my request is a proper request and the response is also proper response. Like, okay, so there are many other codes like 301, 300. So each and every response code will try to say you something. Okay, like so now I'm getting 200. So this status code means it is valid. There are many list of status code like 301, 400, 401, 403, 404. So each has its own meaning, like whether it is a bad request or server is redirecting to some other endpoints like that. Okay, so now this particular API is working, and now I'm going to make a small change in this URL also now. Okay, okay, all right. Now I'm going to slightly modify this one, this URL slash ISS hyphen NOW now dot JSON. What is this ISS hyphen now dot JSON? So up to org it is an URL, and dot API URL of the API. Now the ISS hyphen NOW dot JSON is an endpoint. Okay, it is an endpoint basically. So I will type here endpoint. So what is an endpoint? Endpoint is like you can say like it is a root. This is our APIs. There are several APIs like the ISS hyphen now dot JSON is an API, and say astros.json is an API. So there is an endpoint. So there are several endpoints like this. They are like a route from which you can access the server. Okay, so this OpenNotify has one web server and has few endpoints. Okay, so the each and endpoint will give you some response. Like for this ISS hyphen now dot JSON will give a particular response. And I have told that astros.json will give you some response. So we will discuss it in clear manner. Okay, I will show you in clear manner, right? Okay. Now we have typed the URL with the response. Now I will just comment out this status code because we are just checking. It is no more needed. Okay. Now I am going to give some parameters. Parameters is my own user-defined variable. I will give some latitude and longitude. So there is a parameter called a latitude and longitude. LAT. This will be in the form of key value pair. LAT say 40.71. Okay, comma longitude LON. So these are predefined. These LAT and LON are predefined. So let me say it as 74. Okay. So we can imagine like this is a latitude and longitude of New York City. Okay, we are storing the data of some location, right? Okay. And I'm going to just comment out this also, because here I have to make a small change. I'll just copy this response. I'll just copy this and I will paste it over here. And I have to include one more parameter here, one more parameter in this get method, comma, whatever value we are giving here, we have to pass here. Params is, built in. This is built in attribute. Next, the parameters, my own user defined parameter. So I am passing this as second argument. This one is the URL is the first argument of get method, and params is equal to parameter is the second argument, right? So after this, I'm going to just print the content. What I will get from this particular API. Print response. Response is the object or variable which I store the response, but there is something called content. So now let's see what it returns. Showing some error. Parameters equal to latitude Python API underscore exe. So some error is there. Parameters. Okay, let me just fix it. So here I have given dot. I have to give a comma. That's only. Okay, see here, I have written some JSON format. This is something in dictionary format. So this is the standard JSON format for transferring data. I already told, no, like API means transferring data between your application and web server. So from this API, from this web server through API, we have received some content, right? So I have given some parameters. So based on that parameter, I have getting this, timestamp value, and then the position, and then message is equal to success. It means the request and response is success, right? And the value which we are requesting, right? Okay. So in this way, we are accessing the data through APIs. So one more simple thing I have to show you, like I will create one more say object res is equal to request dot get, and then the same URL. I'm just pasting it. Okay. And here I will just change the endpoint alone. I told, right, what is meant by endpoint. So I will just change the endpoint ASTROS Astros. An API has one web server and it can have different endpoints. So astros.json. So this is one endpoint. So this endpoint is basically it will give you the number of people who are currently on space. So number of people currently on space. Since this is a NASA's data, it will show you these kind of things only, like how many number of people are currently on space and where is the International Space Station currently it is located. So those kind of endpoints they will have. Endpoints means I already told it is, you imagine like a route through which the communication takes place between you and the web server. Now I will just print how many number of people. Print res dot content. Okay. Okay. See here, the first print statement gives you the position, International Space Station's position, and the latitude longitude value, and it is success. First request is success, and the second one, see, the number of people is 3, and the people name and the machine name is Craft International Space Station, and the name is Chris Cassidy, and the other name is other one is Anatoly Ivanish something, and the other name is Ivan Wagner, and the message is success, like the request response is success. So this is how you create a simple API using your Python script, right? So I hope this will this makes some sense, and this will gives you a basic understanding of how API works. And I'm going to end this video. Thank you.